All right. Hey there, everybody. Christopher Franks with Texas West Capital. Checking in with you here, guys, a little bit after 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday, the 2nd of May, 2023, right before Fed Day. And that just seems to be the way things go lately, right? Um, it seems to be that people are just waiting to see what happens now. Not that anybody really understands what's going on with the Fed, right? Not that anybody really has any, let's be honest, any real understanding, but they're waiting anyway. And then they're going to look in hindsight, look back in hindsight, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, well, that's why. It's not really a great way to trade, is it? Excuse me. So we'll talk about Fed Day coming up here tomorrow, and kind of what we would look and what we'd expect, what it may mean. We'll take a look at the JOLTS report, job openings, stuff like that. And then, of course, we'll jump in on all the other charts. You guys ready to do this? Good to see you, Data. Hank, checking in here. You guys have to excuse me for a minute. He's got something in my throat here. But yeah, we'll see how this week goes, right? Anybody else get surprised by that move this morning? Hopefully not. Hey there, Toby. Good to see you. Hopefully not. We'll look at that. Of course, there was consolidation since yesterday. Breakout isn't really surprising, or it shouldn't be anyway. I know you've got a lot of guys out there who are still looking for 25. And while I can't guarantee that it won't get there or even lower, as I'm looking at it right now, I mean, we'll see what goes on here today, but it looks like it wants to be done. So we'll check that out, right? Eric, what's going on, man? So let's take a look here real quick. We've got the, as you can see on this chart, our current rate, the market basically is pricing in a 19.3% chance that the Fed goes flat tomorrow. And then there's a 80.7% chance that we get a 25 basis point rate hike. And so that's what I've been talking about. It's what we've been looking for, right? We're looking for one more hike coming into summer here, May. And then right before summer, and then looking at at least a few flat. Now the Fed has been pretty adamant that they don't want to go or that they won't start lowering rates, until sometime next year at least, right? But again, guys, you need to remember the Fed is always adamant about what they're going to do. They rarely actually follow through. Again, we can talk about when QT rally started up, right? And how they said, oh, well, we won't be doing it until, later into 2022, and then 2023 is when we'll actually look to start hiking rates. And remember back then I told you, no, it'd be probably November of that year. And then, hiking rates shortly after. And of course, that's what ended up happening, right? But I get a lot of this online a lot. Because people don't understand, they don't pay attention, right? They're always like, oh, the Fed's so sure. The Fed said this is definitely what they're going to do. Don't bet against the Fed, blah, blah, blah. Well, nobody's betting against the Fed. We're just saying, listen, the Fed's going to do what the markets tell it to do, basically. And so, when I say markets, I mean on the employment markets, all this kind of stuff. And so when you see things going to a certain way, it doesn't matter what they say. It's what are they going to do? And I think that's the way you have to look at it, though, right? So that's kind of where we're at with that. So it's doing, again, the expectation by the market is exactly what I've been saying for a while now. We get this one more rate hike, 25 basis point rate hike. And then, I think we'll probably get rate reductions before the end of the year. Q4 probably. I do see I could see a scenario in which we could get another quarter point rate hike, maybe in a few months or something. But right now, that's not my primary. My primary is the idea that this will be one and done here finally. And then we'll go flat for a bit. And then, of course, so coming in because we're already seeing the stuff in the numbers, right? So what are in the numbers right now? Well, if we look at the JOLTS number came out today. That's the survey of companies for job openings, right? Let me find it on here again. And so JOLTS came in. They were expected to be 9.775 million. They only came in at 9.59 million. So, to the downside. Now, It's not that it has a lot of impact, but again, it is something potentially showing what may be coming later this week when we see the NFP, right? So, it's the first kind of thing goes in there. What other things can we know? So, if that's dropping down, what does that tell the Fed? Well, it tells the Fed, listen, companies are starting to pull back, right? They're removing that hiring that they had going on, right? Because they've been hiring. And so if we start seeing this pullback, it means, okay, well, companies are, not spending as much. They're starting to cut back. And companies do that when they believe that the economy isn't doing overly fantastic, right? So again, when we look at it, many people look at the charts to tell them, they wait for the news event, right? So if they see price coming down, then they expect people to sell, kind of like that. But you remember, we're looking at it as, okay, what's going on out there that leads into what happens in the charts. And that way we can get in before moves happen, right? Again, guys, all you have to think about is November there, right? Or 3,100 there for Bitcoin in 2018 bear market low, right? Getting in sooner instead of sitting there going, oh, it has to keep on because the narrative hasn't changed yet, is the way. And then you just get to ride it up, guys. You don't have to sit there and try to catch it as it pumps, which oftentimes just gets you caught, right? You're just jumping in for no reason other than it's pumping, which means you don't really have, good targets. You don't have reason to be in other than, it's going without me and I need to get in. And, again, that usually leads to losses. So you don't want to do that, right? So, so that's kind of what we're looking there. What are the odds for June? Fibbo says. What's up, Fibbo? We've got 71.5 basically percent chance of staying flat. So 25 basis point rate hike this month, and then next month stay flat. 26.4% chance of a cut of a quarter point, and 2.2% chance of a cut of 50 basis points there. So yeah, again, nothing surprising here. Kind of what we're expecting, what you should be expecting as well, right? Eric Wynn says, seems like all eyes are on this meeting, in particular, even retail. Seems like the consensus believes a 25 basis point hike is imminent. It kind of reminds me how the consensus believed Bitcoin had to fall below 25. I'm not saying that those are related, but you know what they say about the masses. Sure. But remember, when you're looking at that, it doesn't mean that every time a group of people are saying it, it's not going to happen, right? When we're kind of looking at this, I mean, yeah, it could be different. Of course it could be different. But, for me in particular, I don't really worry about that at the moment because, I've had this same outlook, this same view for a while now, and then we just had the bank go under this past weekend and auctioned off, and JP Morgan became the winner of that. So, for all intents and purposes, basically nationalization of the banks almost at this point, right? Between the FOMC and the Treasury and what's going on there. And so, a lot of craziness kind of going on now that we're not used to here. But that's par for the course in other countries, right? You've got nationalism bank, in other countries and whatnot. So I don't know, it's when you're in the U.S., because we don't, this hasn't been the thing that we've done. The minute it happens, all of a sudden it's the end of the world, right? You think, oh, it's the end of the world. But, again, you can look at things like Japan. They had the lost decade in the 90s, and they haven't done a whole lot really since then, right? With yield curve, because of yield curve control and everything going on there, and the government subsidizing so much of the debt, having so much debt. But they've continued to move on, right? Now, the big difference is that the U.S. obviously is the big dog, the world reserve currency kind of thing. So there are other effects on that, right? The U.S.'s greatest export is inflation, right? But you can't just, do it all, my favorite phrase lately, willy-nilly, right? Because everything is so entrenched around the dollar, if you're doing things, if you're the FOMC, and you're doing things, you have to make sure that it doesn't come back to bite you really bad, in terms of the rest of the world, right? So you can have countries like, Uruguay or something do whatever they want, really, it's not going to have a whole lot of effect anywhere else in the world, right? But when the U.S., the FOMC does something, it reverberates not just in the U.S. but beyond. And I think a lot of traders get caught up in this idea that they think they live in a vacuum here in the U.S. and everything happens here is just, oh my God, this is what's going on here. But there's a failure to recognize what's going on in the rest of the world, how the rest of the world reacts or acts to what's going on with the dollar and things like that. So, and then the few that do, I think then they get in this whole idea, oh my God, de-dollarization's happening right now. Again, it's a very small subset, excuse me, of people doing what they're doing, right? When it comes to actually using currencies. And, we've been over it many times before, so I'm not going to go over it again here. But, I think if de-dollarization is your idea of what's happening, I think, again, you're just green. You're new. You don't understand yet. And the arguments they can sound compelling when you don't understand, right? We've talked about this before. That's, again, when it comes to trading. You guys have all this access to all this information about trading at your fingertips. A lot of it's free. The problem with that is most of that out there are half-truths and outright lies because they're not by people who are really successful trading, or they're not by people who really understand it, right? They just like, oh, okay, this information's out there. I can create a business model around this and do it. It's kind of like a lot of your influencers online, right? They don't really know what they're doing, but they just have to sound like they do and get you following them, whether you're going to believe them or not. You just need to follow them so that way they have a following and a certain reply rate and a certain like rate, and then they can, monetize you. So, again, you don't know what you don't know in life, in trading, and everything, guys. If you keep that at the top of your mind, I think that right there will help you immensely in life. Just recognize and accept that you don't know what you don't know. And oftentimes when we start to learn something, we become overly confident in the very little bit that we've actually started learning. And we all of a sudden think, we're here, and we all of a sudden think we're way up here, right? So you don't want to put yourself in that situation, because at the end of the day, guys, you're only lying to yourself, which means you're going to lose money. Again, it doesn't matter if you're talking about trading. It doesn't matter if you're talking about investing in a business, investing in real estate, whatever it is. Okay? Excuse me. Fibbo says that's what he tweeted today. I wonder how many people know that the U.S. is nationalizing banks. I mean, yeah, more or less. JP Morgan is the other arm of the government, right? Basically, when JP Morgan goes in there and swipes up something like this, they're getting huge blessings and concessions from the government, right? Because the government doesn't want the bank to go under. They have to keep the bank up, right? And this is a huge bank that went down. So, the government's going to go out of its way to sweeten that deal so that somebody like JP Morgan comes up and says, okay, I'll take it. So yeah. A lot of stuff going on with all that. Let me see here. Let me pull up some charts for you guys. What do you say? So we've got real quick here. So we've got NFP coming up this on Friday, non-farm payrolls report. We had the JOLTS come out today saying that. Oh, let me tell you real quick what else we had coming out here recently. So we had that, and so the Fed goes, okay, well, maybe I don't have to be as aggressive because, hey, companies are starting to slow down their hiring as it is. Factory orders month over month are up 0.9%. That is a surprise to the upside. They were expecting 0.3 or 0.23% rise in that. And I'm sorry, they were expecting a 0.8%, and they got a 0.9%. And this is up from the last month over month, which was down negative 1.1%. So big move up there. Let me see here. If we look at, find my data for yesterday, we had manufacturing yesterday and construction. So construction spending month over month. Last month, it was down negative 0.3%. They were expecting it to be negative 0.1%. This time it was 0.3%. So greater construction spending than what they thought it was going to get. ISM manufacturing employment is up. Let me see here. It was at 46.9 last month. They expected 47.9, just a slight rise. They actually got 50.2. So again, another surprise to the upside. New orders, once again, last month, 44.3. They were expecting 45.5. They actually got 45.7. Another surprise to the upside. Manufacturing PMI, Last month, 46.3. They were expecting 46.6, and they actually got 47.1. And then, of course, manufacturing prices paid last month, 49.2. They were expecting 50.4, and they actually got 53.2. So when you look at that, well, that gives that other side to the Fed, right? The Fed goes, okay, well, they're still out there, pushing and producing and buying and whatnot going out there, as far as manufacturing goes. So that also is going to play, you know. But I think we do a quarter of a basis point rate hike this month, as I've been saying for a while now, and then I think we're probably done. Like I said, I can see a scenario in which we get maybe one more quarter point prior to the end of the year, but I think we'll probably be done at that point with everything that's going on there. So, and this could get really interesting. Excuse me, especially in terms of USD liquidity and what's available out there for people who want it. Remember, guys, everybody thinks, we have to go to hyperinflation because so many dollar bills were printed. But at the end of the day, as long as there is demand for the dollars being printed, there's not going to be any hyperinflation, folks. It's not a simple, we printed more than we've ever printed in the last, whatever. And so that means we have to go into hyperinflation. It just, again, it's the idea that it sounds good when you don't know what you're talking about, right? It sounds like it makes sense. There are a lot of idiots in this world, guys, making a lot of money, capitalizing on the idea that things seem to make sense. They got these really great arguments based on an erroneous understanding, right? So, I mean, you can get when it comes to logic, if you think philosophically about logic, I mean, you can get to a truth even if your inputs are invalid, right? Or not true or incorrect, right? The goal is to get to a truth based on true inputs, based on real inputs. So, again, you can carve a crazy little story, crazy little narrative about why things are the way they are or have to be the way they have to be. And then, you're basing it off of inaccuracies, right? You guys should see this all the time on crypto Twitter and other social media. It's there all the time. People think just because they have a voice on the same platform as somebody else, that they're at the same level as that other person. And most of the time, you guys will see that's incorrect. And maybe you've done it yourself, hopefully not, but a lot of times they'll get on there and they'll, talk a lot of smack to somebody that has a lot more experience, a lot more understanding than they do. It is what it is, right? The great thing about social media, not so great. Hey there, Andrew Bennett, Michael Johnson, what's going on? Hey, Michael Johnson says, Jamie Dimon, next Fed chair, that might be a little bit below him. His rate, right? Juicified, what's going on, man? Baltazar is here as well. I see you guys. Did I miss somebody? Diego, good to see you. Bamboo is here as well. Brian, Riley, LXT, Hank. I think I said hi to Hank, but we'll say it there again. Hank says he tends to give people a little more credit. I don't. Because again, what we find is that people are lazy. It's not that people in general are evil or, that they're going to try and hurt you to hurt you. A lot of times when they hurt you, it's because they were just being lazy. Now that isn't okay, it's okay to hurt somebody or whatever, but and take it however you mean it. Take it in whatever way of life or specific sector you're thinking about. But people tend to be lazy, period. They tend to want to get where they want to get with as little effort as possible. And oftentimes that results in harming other people, whether it be, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that people are necessarily bad at all. I just think that they're just selfish. And, but, again, it is that selfishness that also is what drives the world, right? It's what makes all these things that we enjoy. I don't know about you, but I enjoy indoor plumbing. I enjoy air conditioning, especially here in Southeast Texas, where it gets hot and humid. I like air conditioning a lot. And so, I like living longer these days, right? Being healthier, due to, doctors and whatnot. And so all these things, people do these things, not because, because they're just going to do it just because, right? They do it because there's something in it for them. Does that make sense? There's something in it for them. There's a reason for them to do that. Now, whether that's money, whether that's notoriety, whether that's just kind of, I don't know. Maybe it just makes them feel good to do it. I mean, they're getting something out of it, and I'm okay with that. This altruism nonsense, it's a bunch of nonsense. I'm really okay with people doing things because they're selfish. To if they discover something that makes my life better, and they did it so that they can make money. Well, hey, I'm all for it, man. Do it. Because had you not, it probably wouldn't have happened. Most people don't like to think about that. Most people think you have to be altruistic. You have to do everything for everybody. It's such nonsense. No, you just have to have a reason to do it. A reason. That's all. It doesn't matter what that reason is. The reason is what gives you purpose. Purpose is what drives you to do it. Right? So earlier today, I posted there in Twitter, guys, real quick here. What did I post here? About purpose. Let me see here. I said I continued. Oh, wait, no. That's the wrong one there. Hey, I had a few posts this morning here, right? Let me pull it up here real quick. And what did I say? I said, are you having trouble staying focused, disciplined, and consistent? Then the odds are that you lack purpose. When you lack purpose, you're constantly distracted by temporary and fleeting pleasures. And that's really what it is. If you find yourself playing video games, 10 hours out of the day, and you're a grown man, guess what, guys? I'm not saying don't have some enjoyment time. I'm not saying don't spend a little time doing the things, that kind of let you disconnect and whatever. But if the majority of your day or a majority of your free time is spent doing that thing rather than focusing on creating something else, on doing something that's going to benefit you, then yeah, I'd say you lack purpose. Purpose is that thing that purpose gives. It's what drives you to do it. When you don't have purpose, you're just kind of there. And if you're just there, all of a sudden you're caught up on video games and you're caught up on smoking pot, whatever it is. Again, guys, do what you're going to do. I don't have a problem with people smoking pot in general. I don't do it. But if that's your focus, if that's what you're looking forward to doing every day, you're not going to get very far. I'm just telling you right now, guys. Very few people, do things like that, or they drink all the time, right, and are still successful. It's a difficult thing because being successful at whatever you're trying to do requires that you have that focus, that discipline, that consistency, and that only comes with having purpose. You have to understand why you're doing whatever you're doing. Otherwise, you're just doing it. You're just there. Does that make sense? So, just some things to think about there. No pot. Well, my afternoon has just been freed up. Quinn says, "Yeah, I mean, like I said, guys, I'm not the person that says here and says, you know what, government should be out there telling you can't smoke pot. If you want to do that, do that. Honestly, I used to drink a lot when I was younger. I don't drink anymore. Don't drink any less either. No, I'm kidding. I don't drink. I find no reason to do it. I've got a purpose here in what I do with TWC and some other things I'm into. And so that keeps my mind occupied. I don't go and go, man, can I get drunk every night or every weekend? And I'm telling you what, if you want to be successful in life or anything you're doing, you've got to have purpose. You absolutely have to. If you don't have purpose, guys, if you haven't sat down and said, this is why I want to really do this, and this is really important for trading, then you're just going to flounder around throwing money at the market like you're pulling scratch off tickets or betting the minimum at the casino, and you just keep doing it, right? Pulling slots. It's not beneficial. You hope you get lucky. Why do you hope you get lucky? Because you're too lazy to do what you need to do to create your own luck. And if that hurts you, if that hurts your feelings right there, I'm going to be honest with you guys, suck it up. Okay? Life doesn't care about your feelings. The market doesn't care about your feelings. So if it doesn't, then you shouldn't. And you should instead focus on doing the things you need to do to become successful at whatever it is that you want to do. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, guys. Again, I'm not ragging on anybody for smoking pot or drinking or whatever. But what I've found personally is I have no desire. I've never had desire to smoke pot or do what other drugs. It is what it is. But as far as drinking and whatnot goes, I don't have that desire to do so anymore. That doesn't mean I may not crack open a beer here and then, but man, I'm going to tell you what, right now, it's probably been a year. So, you know, and before that, it was probably 2 years. So yeah. Eric one says, exactly. Your dreams only work if you do. That's exactly right. Okay, guys. So there, we've gotten through that. I wanted to get through that because, you guys, you sit here and you message me and you comment, and you make all these things, but it always comes back to the same thing. You're not getting what it is you need to get. You're not understanding that you are the reason why you are not where you want to be. And a lot of times when I try and tell people this, they get very offended, they get very hurt. But that's not on me, guys. That's on you. And you have to recognize the truths in life. If you don't, what do you hope to expect, guys? Or what do you hope? Excuse me, got the hiccups there. What do you expect out of life? What do you hope to get out of life? If you aren't putting in any effort, do you really expect that life's just going to give you all these great things that you want? Do you? Wherever you go, there you are, Hank says. That's right. Another great quote that I've always liked for so many years. Coach told it to me when I was playing football back in, gosh, I don't even know, 6th grade, maybe something like that. And it basically is, whatever you believe, you're right. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're correct. These all these great sayings that kind of just get you to focus on the idea that life is what you make out of it. Right? So, yeah. Anyway. All right. So there we go. Let's kind of pull up the charts here, guys. Let's see here. Let me get you another chart in here. Let's look at the dollar, the Dixie, the DXY. Just take a quick look at that real quick here, right? And so what's going on with the Dixie here? So, if we just zoom out to this daily here, right? What I find really to pay attention to is this right here. You see you've got this resistance right here. Resistance support level right here. Rejected. We are above the daily pivot, but we've just kind of come in sideways and we move, we pushed up through it. We're like halfway up, but we hit this resistance. We're getting rejected. Most of the time when I see that, it means we're going to head down. Now, we can also look here and say, well, Stochc RSI is almost topped out and overbought. RSI, we're sitting here about neutral. But yeah, if we lose this pivot here, the odds are we're probably head down lower. So where's our key point? Our key point is this swing low right here. This 101.013. Break down through that, and you should be looking to head on down lower. All right? So, if we have that going on, if we do, then, again, we're going to, it takes that downward pressure off U.S. denominated assets, right? So there's that portion. Now, everything out there isn't completely driven by the dollar, right? It isn't 100% driven by the dollar. There is other types of demand and everything else in there, but it takes off one important part of it, one, thing that usually is heavy on it, right? And it's that downward price pressure. Now, if we do happen to continue going up, what I'd be looking for here is probably, let me see here. So, see, you've already hit one here. See, again, my idea is this is a 1, and then this is a 2, right? But you can see that if this is A up here, and this is B pulled back, then this is C. We're already 1-to-1 ratio. Wave C is equal to wave A, right at that 102 area. So again, that's what we're usually looking at. That pullback, though, is it's not overly large there, right? It's not quite 38.2, but that happens sometimes. Okay. So again, the idea is that we should likely, especially this follow through here, but the key level is this 101.013, and that should send us lower there. Let me see here. Yeah, Andrew, or is it Andre? What's going on? It says, what is your opinion of the Euro USD for May? Yeah, basically what Hank was saying there, this is the DXY. The DXY is a weighted basket of values for the dollar. And so the largest of that basket is the Euro USD at 50 plus percent, is by far the largest. So generally, the DXY and the Euro USD will look opposite. So if I'm expecting the DXY to come down, that should let the euro rally against the dollar proportionally, somewhat proportionally. Yeah, yeah. So just a quick way of kind of looking at that, because again, your second largest contributor to the weighted average here for the DXY is the yen, which is like what, 12%. So you go a long way from 50 plus to 12%, and then of course they get smaller after that whole basket of currencies. So yeah. So that's what we're looking for. I mean, ultimately, guys, again, end of the day, man, again, we were rejected on the weekly here, right? We were rejected right here at this resistance support, came down, broke up through it, peaked out just above it, rejected again, came back down. A lot of people are going, oh, look, it's a double bottom. And, okay, maybe, but this is a pretty big rejection area right here at this previous support, which we had support here and then here before it came down. Right there around that, right around 105.7, 105.8, right around there. So we're losing this support. By the way, you'll notice where this support is, or maybe you'll notice here, right? Kind of got this right here, right? So it's this previous area of resistance back here in March, around the week of March 23rd or so in 2020, which was right before, again, the COVID drop there, right? Got that. And then we had the unwind from that, right? Coming down. But that's where we are. I mean, so, structurally, if we're losing this level here, there's little reason not to think we won't be getting down here to the S1 pivot. And so if this is a 1, 2, and then this is maybe a 1, 2 here, we're going to see a little bit more price action before we know for sure, because that is a short 2 there. But you got wave 3 down here at around 94.05, which is the S1 pivot, and wave 5 down here around 92.8, which gets you, if you look, pay attention. Look at this right here. You see this support resistance right here? Back over here in May of 16. And then right over here around September of 17. And then again over here around August of 20. And then the rejection right here around, March of 21 in that area. And then again, the support right there around June of 21. I mean, that's a significant area. That makes sense to kind of hit that, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for there. So what does that mean for Bitcoin? So this is what we're seeing this morning. Take everything else out of it, guys. Resistance, we broke through it here. We created consolidation right here, right? This is what everything else aside, guys, it really was this simple this morning. It was that. Now, you can also look at the idea that we pulled back here. 78.6%, almost 85.4 there, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, right about there. The idea is maybe we've got a 1 here and then an A and a B and a C as an expanded flat or a flat here. And so we're looking for that rally up. Now, we broke out impulsively through the 15-minute pivot here, and now we're at the hourly pivot. But, good movement up here. You can make an argument for 5 waves up now or nearing that, right? So generally what I would expect, if we've got 5 waves up here, I'd expect a pullback and then a rally impulsive breakout through that pivot. And that should get us up here toward this swing high area. And that should give us a wave 1 up to that area and then a wave 2 back to the pivot, the hourly pivot there. And then moving on, right? So let's say we're 5 waves done here. And then we're pulling back. Let's see if it makes sense here. Right there. So right there is the 50% where I've kind of got it there. 50 to 61.8. We'll even say 61.8, give us a little bit lower pullback, right? Right into this previous kind of consolidation here. But look where you got 5 waves up. Right there to 30,300. That's 1. That would be 5 waves up. That's 1, right? 50% pullback, 61.8, right there around the hourly pivot. So again, the idea, as long as this holds this 5 waves up here, is to come on back, then break out up there almost to the R1 on the hourly, come back to pivot, and then break out higher there. And so that's what I kind of, that's what I'd be looking at there on that, right? So that's what I'm kind of looking at here, Now, if it does break down further, then things get a little interesting, right? Because basically I'm looking at, wave 2 and then 1, 2, and then 1, 2. So we got a lot of 2s kind of low in here, right? And so, if we lose this swing low, that could just be a bigger flat here playing for 2. But man, it gets us close to this one. And so if we lose this low here at 26,981, if we lose that, then we're looking at 25. It's not that it's off the board. It's not that I've said it's off the board, but it's always been a possibility there if we lose certain levels of support. To hit here and go, okay, we have to go to 25, after we've gone through all this, it just ignores everything that's kind of going on here, right? Do you think wave C of the recent correction is complete? You mean this one right here? I think there's a good chance it might be. Again, it's almost 85.4%. The idea, again, is that it's a little kind of crazy to count here, but it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4 is a triangle, and a 5. So that gets us a 1, and then a WXY, and then a WXY or an ABC up here, slightly higher high over wave 1 here. And then, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here gets us 5 down. So I think there's a good chance it will be, but what am I looking for? If you haven't already gotten in here, I think you kind of wait for the pullback. I mean, I think if you're going to trade, defensively here, right? Too many times traders get on here and they try to get into a position. They try to let the price action control them, like, right? Well, the current pop higher, right? So they're so taken by this because they miss this and this pops higher and they're not sure what's going on. So they let this control them and they get in rather than saying, okay, here's what we got. What would make sense? And they go, okay, well, I'm going to wait for a pullback to there before I enter. I'm not going to short because I don't know for sure that it's going to pull back to there. This could just be some crazy thing. Again, if we're popping above this this pivot area here where we're at, right, we've got all this gap here to fill up to, 29.2, 29.3 at least, right? So there's nothing saying that we can't pop up and get that and pull back and then go up and then come down here, whatever. But so, again, the trend here off the swing low is up right now. We've got a high, a low. We had a higher high, a higher low. We've got a higher high. The trend is up. If the trend is up, you buy the pullback. You don't short the rejection or potential rejection because that's what gets you caught. That's what gets you stuck in stuff like this, right? Maybe instead of 5 up, maybe this is 1, 2, 1, 2. It could be. I mean, I'm not even looking in here closely, right? This could be a 1, 2, 1, 2 here. But it is pretty high up there, and so I think it's 5 done. And so we would look for that pullback here, again, toward this kind of 28,200, 28,150 kind of area. And that's what I would do. I would look for a pullback there to find a reason to go long. If you guys were watching on Twitter, I posted that we had broken down here. I think we were like right around this area. And I said, I can't rule out a move down to the hourly S1 pivot. I said, but I'm looking for a reason to go long in this area, which means I'm looking for like this, right? We had a breakout here. We had consolidation here. Boom, pop higher. There's a reason to go long. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to short here, guaranteeing myself it's going to go down here because look, if I was trying to get the S1 pivot, never would have made it. And most of y'all are out here. If you did that, you would have had, and you'd be holding it up here still, right? And you had all this profit, and now you're at, you were at a slight loss there. Now you might be break even or slight profit or slight loss, right? So for me, with the setup and whatever, and the pullback and where we were and what I'm thinking the count is here, for me, yes, this is the downward trend. So you can short that resistance if you want. But for me, I was looking for the next move up. I'm not interested in shorting the end of a trend. I'm not interested in longing the end of a rally. Okay. I want what's in the middle. I want what's in the middle. Because once you start getting to these ends, you're not sure if that's the end. It could be, and it may be, and it looks like it is. But until it actually is, there's, history is rife with price action continuing through it, and then going, oh well, the count's different or the structure's different than what I thought it was. Does that make sense? So, Hank says 4 green months is already a lot. 5 green months might be asking too much. I prefer building a plateau here. Let May and June be hesitant. So Hank's talking about the fact that, of course, Bitcoin did this thing, right? Let's jump up here to the daily. I'm sorry, jump up here to the monthly. This is something I posted right before the end of the trading day there on Sunday. And I said, man, here we go. We got 4 green months here, right? And more importantly, we've got 4 green after, so we hit the low, and then we had a red month, and then we had 4 green months, right? The only time anything similar has happened was 2019, where we had, again, the swing low, down month, but you had 5 right here, right? 5 green months. So don't think it can't happen. It doesn't happen all the time in Bitcoin. It's only happened this time here in this way, but it can happen. Now, the difference between this and this, right? This, you can see the candle spreads getting larger. You see the volume expanding, right? As we're doing this. This one, what you have is this rally, sideways pullback rally, sideways. And we could pull back with another wick, even if we need to, and rally, or we could just rally from here. The sideways, guys, is a pause. The sideways is a pause. And to be honest, all we've hit is this resist on the monthly, guys. Look at this is all we've hit right here. We haven't hit the cluster of resistance here at around, your mid 40s or anything like that, right? Or even upper 30s. We haven't even hit that yet. Also, again, we're right here above the monthly, weekly pivot right here, right? We retested last month as support, right? We can jump to the weekly. Same idea on there, right? We're testing. We're finding support here. We're building potentially a base right here, right? And I tell you right now, if you're really bullish on Bitcoin, you want this to hold. Doesn't mean the end of the world if it doesn't, right? But if you're really bullish on Bitcoin and you want to see huge things happen this next cycle, I mean, really, you want to see it stay above the weekly pivot. You want to see this hold here, and then you want to see it rally. You want to see it doing what we've been talking about, which is this potential rally up at the upper 40s or even 50,000 area to finish 5 waves up before it pulls back. So it gets a 1 and pulls back for a 2, and then it goes. A lot of people are out there telling you guys that that big money is scared, that institutional money is scared because of FTX and all that. I think it's a bunch of hogwash. They want in, guys. They saw what happened. They're getting a chance to get back in again now at a much lower rate. They want to get in for the same reason you want to get in, right? There could be some, there may, nothing's not fearful at all. There's maybe some fear in it. But at the end of the day, that what happened with FTX isn't keeping this bigger money out, right? That isn't going to keep it out. And what it does, I think if you're looking at it honestly, so if I'm in the position of that, right? And I know I want to get into Bitcoin because, let's face it, we've got history that says damn, right? I mean, this is damn. Okay. And so if I'm sitting on it going, man, I want to get in that, and I'm looking for my reason to do so, why might I be tempted to do so after the FTX and Voyager and all that crap? Because that has the attention of regulators. I've told you guys for years now that the way that Bitcoin gets really, really big is if it gets institutional money in there, big, large, and consistent, right? But it can't do that unless there are regulations in place, right? They're looking at it as, okay, the regulations are the sidelines, the goalpost, and whatnot, right? This tells them this is their playing field. This is how they can play. That's what they need. So when you look at FTX and Voyager and all the crap that Gensler at the SEC is doing right now and whatever, if you're a big, a large fund manager, institutional investor, large family office, something with size, this is what you want to see. This is what happened. It sucked, but it's bullish for the industry in general because it basically tries to force government to get in there and to put in the regulations. And the regulations then say, well, now here's your playing field rather than Wild West nonsense, right? And it doesn't matter what those regulations are, as long as there are regulations, guys. We don't like them. I'm not a big fan of them. I think we're overregulated to health. But I'm going to tell you right now, more especially if you have a responsibility to people's money, you want regulation. You want to know a definitive. What is my playing field? What are the rules? So I can get involved. I want to get involved. I'm sitting here with money in my hands. Let's go. So, again, stop listening to all the nonsense that you guys hear all the time on crypto Twitter, guys. Most of the people that you guys are listening to, they have no real experience. They have no real education. They have no real anything to be talking like they do. And, but they market well. They tell you what you want to hear in the way that you want to hear it. And that's why you follow them. You get suckered in. They bamboozle you. My son plays, what's that game? It starts with an A. Oh my God. I don't even remember what it's called now. But anyway, there's a character on there and he always says, you got bamboozled. Anyway. But yeah. So, you want to pay attention to this stuff, right? So don't think that, oh my God, what happened is the beginning of the end. It's more likely the beginning of the beginning. Because, again, up until that point, everybody's kind of just willy-nilly doing their thing, right? You can look at all the stupid crap coins you guys put money into that get rugged every day. That's still out there. It's still nonsense. Not that this big money's going to get involved in that because they know better. They're not trying to become millionaires overnight. They already are, right? You guys got to stop with the nonsense. Stop playing the game that keeps getting you nuked and rugged and whatever. Why do you think they sell dollar scratch-off tickets? Because people buy dollar scratch-off tickets. If people stopped buying dollar scratch-off tickets, government would stop selling dollar scratch-off tickets, right? If people stopped trying to get rich overnight and played all these stupid little, crap coins out there, there would be a lot less development of them, which means a lot less rugs. But people don't want to hear that, right? And if you say something, heaven forbid you say something like that, all of a sudden you're salty or you're upset. No. Again, don't have the desire to get, to make $1 million overnight on something that risky. Why would I? Why would I put everything that I've built at risk to do that? Makes no sense. But yeah, so, again, guys, a lot of what you want to be successful in life and in trading and whatnot comes from how do you frame the way that you look at things right now. How are you framing it? Are you framing it in a way, and framing it just means looking at it in a way that is beneficial to you or not? I mean, really beneficial to you. Not like, oh yeah, I get to throw my money into the trash can and on one of these pump and dumps or something. But like creating real wealth that stays with you. Is what you're doing actually going to do that? And if you think shitcoins are going to do that, you're wrong. I'll tell you right now. I've told you before, the way you guys trade these crap coins, right, is the same. It's with the same attitude that people have to buy scratch-off tickets. Do stuff like that, right? It's this, I really don't want to work at it, so I'm just going to go YOLO and hope that I get rich. But the sad thing is, even when they rally up like that, most of y'all are just going to let it sit there because you're going to keep thinking, get more and more greedy as it goes up. You're not going to take profits. You'll be scared to get out because, oh my God, what if it goes up without me, right? And then usually it'll return back down and you'll lose all your money. You had the chance to take it and you didn't, you lose it. Those of you that do take it, most likely will lose it all again and then some more, trying to do the same thing over and over again with the same nonsense. Lottery winners, guys. Again, we talked about this, I think, last time, right? Most lottery winners end up losing it all within like 3 years of winning it. 30 million, 50 million, whatever. 3 years, guys. And then they're more poor than what they were before they actually won. Because again, it wasn't like how do I create wealth? It was, oh my God, I hope I get lucky. And then they got lucky. And that was it. Reframe the way you look at your life. Reframe the way you look at the things that you're doing in your life. If you want to be successful, if you want to create wealth, if you want to be more than what you are today. If you're not going to reframe it, you're always going to be stuck in with the same nonsense in your head that keeps getting you the same thing. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result, it's the definition of crazy, right? Insanity. Does that make sense? So yeah. Do institutions want Bitcoin or Ethereum? I think if they're coming in, they're going to hold something. Bitcoin. I mean, there's definitely a Ethereum's definitely something else they might want secondary. But I think if you're just coming in for Ethereum, I think you're doing it wrong. Again, Bitcoin is, at the end of the day, if the market was to die off, Bitcoin is likely to be the very last thing standing. And that's what you want to be in. That's what you want to have most of your exposure in. It's safer, right? It's not that it's safe, but it's not as risky as the rest of them, right? They're all altcoins except for Bitcoin. I think it's kind of the way you look at it, right? Now, I'm not saying you can't come in and get other things, but again, I think if you're coming in with a load of money and you're just trying to be as safe as possible, putting it in this crazy market, in general, all, if not most of it, most, if not all of it, was going to be in Bitcoin. But Ethereum has its reasons for being in it as well. It's just that it's still an altcoin too. Does that make sense? Let me see here. Okay, so there's kind of what we're looking at there. Bitcoin. Let's see what else we got on Bitcoin here. Again, same charts we've talked about here. This one is the 3-month here, the quarterly. Again, big, huge candle. Once you get the lows and you do like a sideways, a little doji, whatever, you get the big candle, and that's, again, that marks it's up, right? Sideways, big candle, right? It ended up coming back there. It did what it did. Here we go again. Bottom is little candle here, big move up. Again, finding that monthly, weekly pivot as support. One more time, this is the comparison with 2019. Remember, that's this area right here in 2019. Let's kind of pull that out there. See, you get the same kind of area here. Boom, 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 boom. Pull in here. So, again, that would get us up there around that 50,000 area. Similar to this here. And then you pull back. That doesn't mean we have to then pull back this far. Remember, this is driven, the depth of this was driven, especially in this area here, by that BitMEX liquidation engine, which kept, at the time BitMEX was big, right? It was pushing everything down. And then, when you're a market maker, you use an index. And so BitMEX was one of the ones on that index. And of course, with it pushing it down was taking the whole index lower, which if you're a market maker, you're playing with it, right? Again, a market maker is not trying to make money on the trade. They get paid a fee for providing liquidity. That's all they do. They've got to be either side of the trade. They don't pick and choose. They're not trying to buy your position and sell it higher, or sell your, sell into your position and then buy it lower. They are just providing liquidity at points where liquidity is needed. Because if market makers were not here to do that, the market would be much more inefficient than it is. You'd see a lot more slippage. You'd see a lot more rallies and, hard rallies and hard drops, because you just don't have the liquidity at the levels that you guys want it. That's what a market maker does. If anybody's telling you anything else, just run away, guys. Okay? It's a job. It's a function. They get paid to provide liquidity, up or down. They don't pick and choose. If there's not enough on the other side of the order at that exchange you're at, the market maker steps in with their liquidity. Their algos do that. They put their liquidity in there so that way you can get out or get into a trade near, if not exactly at where you want to. That's the market maker's job. Okay. And so, again, we're kind of seeing the same thing here as we saw here, and that would get us this rally up into this, area right here. This would get us rally again up into the same kind of area. So, we're still kind of looking at that, right? So, again, following pretty decently with this bar pull here, right? Again, you had the big move down, you had the big move down, you have the up and the pullback, you have the up and the pullback. Do we get this rally up and out of here now? That's what we'll look and see. What's going on with the dominance here? Let's see. So I told Discord there that dominance here, if this was not the top, then wave 4 could actually be printing a flat here heading up. And actually, it looks like what may be going on. Looks like we've actually got wave 5 still in progress here. Question is, is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or is this 1, 2, 3, flat as a 4 and then a 5? I'm not going to change this around right now. This goes for my people there. I've got to change it when I do it. But yeah, because we were looking at, if this was wave 3, then we were looking for wave 4 to come down here toward this 45.3 to 44.77 area. But again, keeping in mind that if it did not, this could potentially be a flat right here as wave 4. ABC down, ABC up, and then 5 down here where rallies up higher. Ultimately looking for a move at least up toward 52.62 for wave 1, at least getting up there. Let's see here. What's going on with Ethereum here? Give me just a minute here, guys. All right. So what do we got here with Ethereum? Well, again, we were watching these support levels here. We broke out, came back, retest them, popped up. I posted a chart where I was looking at this right here. We got the fake out and the move down. So I moved that up. And now I'm waiting for this actual breakout here. And again, that'll get us above the hourly pivot and the descending resistance. I think if we get that, that sets up a new high coming in. Let me see. Again, the idea that we got, a 1, 2. This may be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a leading diagonal. Maybe I haven't counted it here yet. Was that swing high? 1940 and 15 cents. 1939, 1935. Okay, so let's kind of zoom in here a bit. Yeah, so maybe like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And same idea, potentially a flat going on there as we got on Bitcoin. You can see that we pulled back right here to the EQ of this demand structure on the 4-hour. Almost printed a bullish engulfing candle. It was also found support right here on the descending channel EQ. So again, just looking for an impulsive breakout above this hourly pivot right around 1875 or so, and then the descending channel resistance. And if we can get that, it should lead to a higher high heading up there. At least 2505. I think I'm looking probably closer up here to around 2915. I'll have to check and see if that count still is correct. But yeah, again, all we did here structurally, guys. All we did. We're out. Look at this. We had a high, right? We pulled back, rallied up, printed a base right on top of this previous. Well, what became a base here, right? Came down. So this becomes a base. We print another one here, rally up, support right in the same area again, right? Rally up, we come back right to the base, which is on this base. And here we go trying to rally up higher. So again, nothing that you shouldn't generally be expecting with that, right? Your daily's ready. You're just now trying to cross bullishly and oversold on Stochc RSI. RSI finding support in this previous support area right around 43 and a half. Let's kind of put that on there. You can see how you've got all the support in these same areas locally, as well as, back here around March of 23, February of 23, December of 22, whatever. As we continue to look through that same areas where we're kind of finding support here. So yeah, we're just looking for that to continue up. I mean, if you're bearish on this market structure, what are you even doing trading, right? You have to understand that in that case, you're probably being much more emotional about it, right? Again, you got a high, a low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, potentially a higher low if we can break out higher again, right? That's bullish market structure, guys. And that's back here since November. And of course, you've got a larger bullish market structure there from June, right? Because Bitcoin, it had its drop in June, and then it had the final drop, the capitulation, the last capitulation, terminal shakeout there in November, whereas Ethereum had its low in June. So, yeah. Let me see here. What else we got? We keep looking at gold. Gold is still finding support here and is trying to rally up today. We can see that the weekly is still overbought here, but it's starting to curl back up and potentially cross bullishly, right? RSI hasn't quite broken out into overbought yet. But again, looking for a top, whether it's right there where we're at or it pops up here. Let's see if we can get this here. Potentially around 21.15. That could finish off wave one there. And then the idea is wave two pulls back down toward the weekly pivot here, which, right around 1845, 1855 kind of area maybe. And that would be wave two. And then we'd be off the races, wave 3, 4, 5 going up, right? Let me see here. MicroStrategy. Same thing, haven't changed what I was talking about a few weeks back. Still looking at the idea this is a 1 into the pivot, the weekly pivot, a 2 on the pullback. Previous area of support and resistance here. Again, how many of you guys are actually looking left on charts? Look at this. Look at this area. So yeah, you're pulling back and works over here. I mean, yeah, so if you're pulling back there, pretty likely place you're going to get a rally. And so now just looking for this move up, potentially up here around 516 or so. I saw something recently about MicroStrategy talking about the income from their actual business, right? Their actual business is going to come up short for some debt obligations they have, right? And so one of the things they said, which they have to say, is, hey, listen, here are our options. These are things that we could do to do it. We could convert the note. We could take out additional loans. We could sell extra shares of the company. Basically dilution of shares there, right? Or it says, we could sell the Bitcoin that we have, sell other shares that we currently have of the company and Bitcoin. And so somebody grabbed on that on the internet, man, and they started going wild with it, saying, oh my God, look, they're going to sell their Bitcoin. They're going to sell their Bitcoin. The way I read it, guys, is no, that's like the last thing we're going to possibly do. If it came down to it and we had to do it and we've exhausted everything else we could do and there was absolutely no other way, then I guess we'd probably sell some Bitcoin. That's the way I took it. But, again, you pick it up on that and going, oh my God, it's the last thing of a litany of a list of stuff, right? And that's the last thing there. And you jump on that and go, oh my God, they're going to sell their Bitcoin. I mean, you guys, and people were just not even paying attention, right? They just saw that and ran with the headline and on the tweet, and, and it makes you look silly, guys. It makes you look silly if you can't think, if you're too preoccupied to pay attention. How you present yourself to the world, guys, is important. People like me, I mean, I hate to say this, but if you're going to sit there and show us that you're not going to be astute enough to pay attention, if you're not going to be thorough enough, then I don't have time to waste on you. I really don't. And you should not have time to waste on yourself either. You should get your butt in gear and become a better person just for yourself. I mean, think of all the anxiety and nonsense that you cause yourself by not paying attention, right? I'm just saying, guys, you gotta, you know, I guess I'm starting to say this a lot more recently because a lot more people are asking, okay, what can I do to be successful? How can I be like getting to that level you're at, Chris? How can you be there? And I'm not content at my current level, guys. I'm currently right now working and busting my rear end to get even better, to get even higher, right? But these things I talk about, these are just general things that you have to recognize and do consistently. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't do them, you don't have much of a chance in hell of getting to these great ideas that you have. And it doesn't mean you're not a good person. Doesn't mean you're not a nice person. It just means that you haven't yet figured out that getting where you want to get is going to take effort. It's going to make you uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, if you say that you want to get to a certain level higher than where you're at, and you say, "Oh yeah, I'm doing it," but you're comfortable, you're not doing it. I promise you're not doing it. Being comfortable tells you are not putting in the effort required to get where you want to get. Because to get where you want to get, you have to change, right? You have to do things differently. Because if doing the same thing that you've been doing would get you higher, you wouldn't be staying where you're at, right? You have to do something different. You have to exert effort. You have to be focused. You have to be disciplined. You have to show consistency. You have to have purpose to do those things, right? To get you on those days where you just don't feel like it, where you're tired. Guys, I'm tired a lot. Many of you all don't realize I probably work about 16 hours a day, most days. But this is to get me where I want to go. It's uncomfortable. It sucks sometimes. It does. But you can't get where you want to go if you're unwilling to get uncomfortable. Period. All right? Again, something else I posted recently was, today, was this idea that most traders out there and just people in life, they tend to confuse intent with action. I say, okay, what are you doing what you need to do to get where you need to go as a trader? Yeah, man, yeah, I'm doing it. What are you doing? Well, I'm doing this, this, and that. Okay, but you're not focused, you're not consistent, you're not disciplined in what you're doing. These things are required. So you're just giving it lip service, right? You're saying you are because it's easy to say you are. Because if you say you are, it doesn't mean you have to actually do anything. It doesn't mean you have to get uncomfortable, right? But action, to actually do it, is going to get you uncomfortable. Okay? I won't even say that I wish there was another way to do it. I won't even say that I wish you could be comfortable and do it. Because I don't think you would appreciate it. Honestly. One of the best things about moving on in life and getting further in life is being able to look back and go, man, all that stuff I did, all that kind of the risks I took, the putting certain things ahead of others to reach this level, and it's paid off. It's gotten me there. And by doing that, now I do all this for my family or for myself. That's huge. It's huge, guys. But most people don't really get it. And so you see a lot of people online, trading or otherwise, telling you, man, I'm doing what I have to do, and I'm not getting anywhere. And you have to, if you find yourself saying that, stop, take a deep breath, and really look at yourself going, am I doing really, truthfully what I do? Because a lot of times we lie to ourselves. Because it feels better to say we are than to actually get out there and do it. It's hard work. It makes us do things we're not used to doing. Do you write down your goals? Do you read them daily? These are just simple little things, but it's something that you have to do. You have to put forth the effort. You have to make the time to get a piece of paper, to get a pencil or pen and write them down. Oh no, man, listen, Chris, I type them into the computer. There's a reason we write things down, guys, because psychologically, it's been shown, studies since after time and time again have been shown that there is that if you actually write down those goals, right? You take a pen to paper and you write them down, you're more likely to reach them. There is a thing that happens in your brain that connects it when you're actually writing it down versus when you're just thinking about it or when you're typing it in. Typing it in, hitting the keys is not the same as actually making the letters. But that's effort, right? Most people don't even get out of their head. I tell traders all the time, listen, they're like, oh, Chris, I'm having all this trouble. I'm doing this again. Well, okay, so let me see your trading journal. Well, I don't have one. What do you mean you don't have one? You told me you've been having this issue for months now. Well, I kind of keep it up in my head. No, you're not doing anything. You tell me you're serious about being a trader, but you're not doing the things you have to do to be a trader. Does that make sense? Okay, guys. So again, I say this because, again, I'm getting a lot of this out here with a lot of people coming in, and I think some of them are just upset they missed the rally from the November lows. That's fine, that you just got to do something about it now, right? But they start looking at they say, oh well, I've had this certain result and I don't like it. What am I doing wrong? I said, well, you can't. From your memory, you're like, oh yeah, sure I did that, but I don't really know, right? We tend to look back on things and make up things in our head, right? It's easy to lie if it's in your head, guys. Anything that's sitting in your head isn't real. You absolutely have to understand that. Fibbo, you sleep 16 hours a day? No, you don't, man. I know better. But, these are the things that you guys, I can't say it enough, guys. It's not just going to happen. Trading, life, business success, relationship success, whatever, it's not just going to happen. You have to put in the effort. You have to put in the right effort consistently. You have to be focused. All that takes discipline. But you're not going to get any of that if you don't have a reason for doing so. If you don't have a purpose that you've written down that's real, that you've written it down. That purpose is what drives you, is what keeps you going when the tough times come, because the tough times will come. Whether you're a trader, whether you're a business owner, whether you're working for somebody, whether you're in a relationship. Hank likes to say price doesn't go straight up or down on the charts. He's right. Nothing in any of that goes straight up. There are times when it comes back down. And if you don't have a purpose, then you won't have the discipline, the focus, and the consistency to continue to make it better, to continue to progress in it. Does that make sense? Okay. So anyway, so MicroStrategy, yeah, again, and breaking out above this 516 kind of level, that's going to be really, really bullish on this move up, right? What's interesting about this area here? So we've got this range right here, right? From the week of May 9th of 2022, you've got this range, and so there are a couple of real spikes of volume. One was at the beginning, the first after you bounced off that low, and then you pulled back. You had a spike of volume at the low. And then it rallied up and nothing really. And then you had a big spike of, looks like even a little bit larger spike of volume, around the same there, come around November 7th of 22, that week. On a drop, right? A drop from the local high, which was a lower high. But there was no real follow through after that. That got you down. That drop on all that volume got you down to 155 and 30 cents. It only went down to 132 and 56 cents, which just tested the low back in May 9th, the week of May 9th, that first low. And then it rallied up, and now it's broken out above that candle, above that bar. And so there's been no real follow through. A huge, if you guys look at the chart, it's a huge spike of volume comparatively. And yet all you could muster was, $20 drop lower, right? 10%, 15% drop below that. And then it rallied back up and we're back above that bar. So there's no follow through down. So other than that, volume has continued to drop off. And then it started picking up at that low, that December 27th of 22 low. And you see volume expansion after that time. Larger candle spreads kind of coming out there. And so now we're challenging the local swing high there from August 8th of 2022. So, I mean, this looks quite bullish overall for me. So we just want to see that breakout higher there. Again, the idea will break up toward that green line, pull back, and then break out higher again. Seems to be more likely than not at the moment. Okay. Let me see here. I think it's probably all the charts we've got in there, guys. What else do we got here? Let me see this. We got this pyre chart here. Still watching this one, guys. Still waiting for this one. Let me see here. What is this? This is the weekly. And so just a few weeks ago, we had this biggish bar, which brought us down below the range EQ. And last week, we had a little tiny doji right there right just below the swing low of that. We have another little doji forming right now for this week. Volume has dropped off markedly here. Let me see if I can put this in another pane by itself. There we go. See how this volume's dropped off on this, even though we kind of so you got overlapping doji candles last few weeks. Right now, so far, declining volume. Looking for a rally up into this range high area here, which then I've got the two possible paths here. Either a rally up into the weekly pivot, then a pull back to the range, and then a breakout, or an impulsive breakout above the weekly pivot into the R1, pull back near the pivot, and then break out higher on that weekly. So, but this has been all accumulation here, or it does look like it's been accumulation. And so this is a period here of this week makes it 308 days. So remember, guys, the longer the consolidation, the stronger the breakout or the breakdown will be and the further it should go. Okay? So that's what we're kind of looking at there. We'll jump over here Bitcoin one more time, and then we'll get out of here. What we got going on with Bitcoin? Oops, that's dominance. Let's bring this Bitcoin down here, see what we got going on. Doggone it. Reset. There we go. Yeah, again, looking for that pullback. If this is wave one up, which it appears to be, I want to see a pullback down through these big candles to the consolidation area. Maybe around 2,800 or 2,100 or so, 2,200 kind of area. And then if we can get that, I'm looking for a reversal there to go long. That's my plan. And then I want to see an impulsive breakout above the hourly pivot and this rally up toward that, almost up to that hourly R1 pivot before it pulls back down to the pivot. So that's what I want to see. I know I talked a lot about other things today. As always, guys, if you're new here, hopefully you'll keep coming back. It's not just about the charts. It's mostly about understanding what it takes to be successful in life, to get where you want to go, and especially as it relates to trading. Whether you choose to accept what I'm saying and do what you need to do it, that's on you. I can only tell you, I can only explain it to you, but again, it's up to you to do the hard work. I was talking to that with a member that's been with us for years, and he started with TWC, and he's completely changed careers now. He hired on with a trading firm, doing all that. I guess he's moving up even in that. He's now into coding his own indicator stuff, which is pretty dang great. Starting from nothing there. And so I was just telling him, he said, it's all because of TWC. I said, man, listen, I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I just showed you that it could be done. You had to you had to step up and do the work. You had to ask the questions. You had to follow through. You had to seek out as much information as possible and continue holding yourself accountable to doing the things that are required. And so I guess that's probably what got me talking a lot about it today, guys. But, again, that really is the end all be all to doing it, okay? You like that part of the stream there, Tail? Good to see you, buddy. Merv, I see you there as well. I hope you guys have a great week. As always, remember, the only thing you control in the market is how much you lose. So, please keep working on that risk management. It looks like I will be doing that interview with Gary Cardone tomorrow, so that's going to be exciting. If you guys don't know who Gary is, man, check him out. Again, some people have certain opinions about his brother, but don't let that, guide you to who he is. Whether you like Grant or not, Gary, man, is his own guy. Man, oh man, he has had so much success in energy, in real estate, now Web 3.0 in a payment processing industry. And so there's going to be a lot to learn from him on that. So I look forward to kind of interviewing him tomorrow and then getting that up there for you guys. We'll let you guys know, okay? All right. So other than that, man, oh man, you can join us at howtotradetowin.com. We'd love to have you there. As always, we're about to pre-sell the next course. So we did that with the pivots course, and we're about to pre-sell the next course. And if you missed the bundle and you want to get that, we're going to make that available as well. I also have something free I'm setting up. I meant to have it done last week at the end of the week, but it just hasn't happened yet. But it looks like I may be able to get that done today. So be watching for that on social media, guys, because it'll be 52 weeks of educational stuff for free that you can sign up for. And man, oh man, there it is. All right. So I appreciate you guys stopping in as always. And we will see y'all next time. All right. Y'all take care.